itself has not quite reached Wind Parish just yet, but it is out there. And so we want you to, again, take this very seriously. If you are in southern portions of Wind Parish, for instance, Atlanta, you currently are not within that warning. But again, because it is nearby, we want you to take it seriously and seek, more or less stay inside. This is not the time to go outside. Because again, we have this tornado warning that was just issued. So I want to pull the map up and I want to show you where this originated. It originated from a storm that developed across southern portions of Natchitoches Parish. If you have family or friends in Natchitoches proper, you're actually okay. You're dealing with rain showers and thunderstorms now, but it's really this storm system right now pushing into Grant Parish that we are concerned with, because we do have radar indications that there is potentially a tornado with this storm. Again, we have not had any confirmation on the ground, but we want to let you know that this is what we're dealing with. And again, it's covering that warning extends into southern portions of Wind Parish. And if this storm holds together, we could potentially see downstream impacts for Winfield. So Winfield, if you're watching us now, this is your time now to start getting ready just in case that warning is extended for you. But again, we're talking about this warning that's out there. And when we look at the broader region, we're dealing with another potent storm across portions of Catahoula and Concordia Parish into southern Tensall Parish, but we're most concerned with this tornado warning that again now extends into southern Wind Parish. We do want to put up the information on this warning one more time, just so you can see it. Again, this warning stays with us at least through 5:40 is of concern. We want to let you know, again, we can have severe weather throughout any part of the year, but we've had unseasonably warm conditions. We've had very humid conditions over the last 2 days, and we have a fairly strong jet stream above with the front nearby. All of that is serving to produce spin in the atmosphere. And with those thunderstorms forming, that spin is leading to rotation. So just to reiterate, the storm itself is not in Wind Parish just yet, but it is pushing in that direction. And again, it's a storm that has been warned for a potential tornado. I do want to take a wider view and point out again another potent storm that's near the Sicily Island area, pushing up into southern portions of Tensall Parish, moving through northern portions of Concordia Parish. Again, we'll be watching for these clusters of storms as we head throughout the next couple of hours. And we're also keeping an eye on more active weather that's pushing through portions of eastern Texas. That's what we'll push in a little bit later, and that can mean more tornadic weather for us. So the threat for active weather is definitely there. We have that warning. I do want to also show you that we're under a slight risk, meaning isolated to scattered severe storms being possible. And those threats do include potentially a damaging wind, hail, and even tornadoes. As we take you briefly through the futurecast, we'll show you more active weather with us as we head toward 8 and 9 p.m. And then eventually we'll deal with the last bits of this wet weather pushing through toward 2 and 3 a.m. But we are definitely tracking the threat for tornadic weather. And I want to send it over to my colleague, meteorologist Abby Ezell, if she's ready. You can let me know if you're ready, Abby. Okay, understood. All right, I'll stay with us right now. But again, we're talking about this tornado warning, and I want to pull that back up for you so you can see. So if you're just tuning in and you were expecting to see our normal newscast, we have to interrupt that because of this tornado warning that's in place. So I want to adjust the map just so you can see it. Again, it's a warning that is in place. It stays active at least through 5:45 p.m. And what I'll do now is I'll put a track on this just to highlight some areas downstream that could potentially be impacted by this storm. So as we look at places downstream, we are watching for places like Endon. We're also looking at Montgomery pretty much right now under this tornado warning. So again, this is your time to get to your safe area to stay as safe as possible until this threatening storm moves across your region. We're also potentially talking downstream toward Winfield and even Dodson if the storm holds together. So again, this is a threat. We want you to take it very seriously. We've been informing you about the threat for severe weather over the last couple of days, and now we're starting to see it take place. And again, we're tracking one storm now that is tornado warned, but there's a chance to see even more tornadic weather potentially as we head throughout the evening. The one good thing about our setup is that it seems like if we do get any additional tornado warnings, the storms will be short-lived. So they're not expected to be long-track tornadoes. They're expected to be storms that potentially spin up a tornado quickly and then it dissipates. With that being said, we still could see damage from a quick tornado as well as a long track tornado. So we want you to take this storm seriously. And if you're just tuning in, it's really because this tornado warning has covered part of our viewing area that we have now interrupted our regular newscast. I want to send it over to our meteorologist, my colleague, meteorologist Abby Ezell, to talk a little bit more about the storm and if we're seeing any type of rotation on radar.
Hi, Marcus. We are seeing a little bit of rotation with this storm. It's definitely not well defined because we are very close to that Fort Polk radar just south of the area, and we are tracking out that rotation right now near the Montgomery region. You can see it's not very well defined. It is where we're seeing those reds and greens coming in together right there, moving a little bit closer to Highway 71. Once again, closer to the Montgomery area, just south of Wynn Parish. I do want to take you a little bit closer and show you where that is in comparison to Wynn Parish. Here is where we're tracking this rotation, just south of the Wynn Parish border. It will likely move a little bit closer to Highway 71. And then it will enter Wynn Parish officially. Next in line will likely be Atlanta, moving closer to Louisiana Highway 34 in the next couple of minutes. I do want to turn things back since we're not officially in Wynn Parish. That rotation is not officially in Wynn Parish just yet. I do want to take things on a wider view and show you what exactly is going on here across the Arclimus as we are beginning to notice a little bit more activity here across the region. We had that one tornado warning for portions of Wynn Parish. The rotation has not officially reached there yet, and we are tracking out some scattered showers and thunderstorms now beginning to enter portions of Jackson as well as northern portions of Wynn Parish. And we also do have a cluster of thunderstorms that the National Weather Service in Jackson is watching across portions of Catahoula and Concordia parishes that could produce some damaging wind gusts. Marcus, do you have anything to add to this?
Well, I do want to talk again about the warning that is out there and also start out with the wider view across our region. Because across our region, we are noticing, again, active weather across parts of Concordia Parish and Catahoula Parish and Tensas Parish. But this is the storm that's most potent right now. We did deal with a stronger thunderstorm that moved just west of Vicksburg and impacted Tallulah. That storm now is pushing into Mississippi. But as we focus in on this tornado warning, that's where we have the greatest danger. So as we highlight again some locations downstream, again, Montgomery, you're under this threat right now. Atlanta, if this storm holds together, you'll potentially be dealing with this threat by the time we get to 5:26 or about 13 minutes from now. And then Winfield, we're looking at potentially impacts if the storm holds together as we head toward 5:36. So the storm is not moving fairly quickly. And last check, we've seen storms that have been producing wind gusts of 40 miles per hour. This one likely producing stronger wind gusts. We've also seen storms over the last couple of hours producing small hail, about 1/4 of an inch or less in size, or about 1/4 or less. But either way, this storm is a dangerous one, and it's pushing closer and closer towards southern portions of Wynn Parish. When we look at the alert, again, this warning stays with us at least through 5:45 p.m. Right now, this storm is over Grant Parish, so it has, for the most part, pushed out of southern Natchitoches Parish, and now it's pushing into southern portions of Wynn Parish. If you are in places like Atlanta, you're likely starting to experience more rain. You're likely starting to hear more lightning, and you may even start to hear the wind blowing a little bit faster. But the center of the storm and where we have the strongest sign of rotation still is south of that Wynn Parish line. So as we look at velocity one more time, we're really tracking this area right here. This is the area that's showing the strongest sign. It may be a little hard for you to see at home, but that's what we're tracking. That area of rotation, not as defined, but it still is there. It is pushing towards southern portions of Wynn Parish. So that's where we have the danger. But this is your time now. If you are in places like Atlanta, if you're in places like Winfield, this is your time now to get ready for the active weather. I do want to talk a little bit more about what has been going on around the region. Again, we have the thunderstorm activity near Sicily Island across southern portions of Tensas Parish. On a wider view, we're tracking more wet weather that's moving through portions of Texas, the largest storm system slowly moving across our region, and that'll mean more rain activity. And we'll have to keep an eye just to see if we get any additional storms developing near Fort Polk, because that activity, based on the current trajectory, could move right across the Arclimus. Now, as we talk about the concerns out there, we'll have this slight risk with us through this evening. Our futurecast shows that we're expecting more active weather as we head toward 8 and 9 p.m., especially across South Arkansas. And we may even see some of that activity farther south. But the good news is, if you were looking for good news and you have a little storm anxiety, the good news is by the time we get to 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., the wet weather should start to exit, and that'll lead to improving weather for us as we head into the weekend. So that's definitely a good thing. I know a lot of times storms can be very stressful for people. It can be very nerve-wracking. Just know this stormy weather will be around for the next couple of hours, but as we head into Saturday, we do see improving weather. Now, as we talk about our timing, pretty much from now through 11 p.m., damaging wind, hail, isolated tornadoes are all threats as well. I believe my colleague, Abby, has something to say.
Yeah. Service just put this out, saying that they're watching some of those storms further towards the west, closer to Sabine Parish, for mainly Wynn, Grant, LaSalle, and Caldwell parishes, for the possibility of rotation later on.
Okay, all right. So we will be tracking more of this activity to our west to see if any of that brings more tornadic weather to us over the next couple of hours. So this is your time to definitely stay aware of the weather. If you have any friends, you may want to give them a heads up, send them a text and let them know that, hey, we're tracking dangerous weather, or the KNOE is tracking dangerous weather. We want everybody to be safe this evening. And again, the threat will be with us this evening. So as we talk more about this warning, again, this red polygon box, that is the warning, is where the storm is located. And this warning stays with us at least through 5:45 p.m. So we have another 20 minutes or so of this warning. And if it holds together, we may see this warning extended even longer. So again, I mentioned we can have severe weather at any point during the year, but we have a lot of ingredients in place today that are supporting dangerous storms forming. The one thing, though, about any tornadic weather, it does look like these storms may be short-lived, or the rotation may be short-lived. We're not expecting long track, very intense tornadoes, but again, we have a dangerous storm that's moving through that is tornado warned. We do not have confirmation of a tornado on the ground just yet. This is all radar indicated. And for more on what we're seeing on velocity, I want to send it back to meteorologist Abby Ezell.
Hi, Marcus. Yeah, I've been watching the storm. It's beginning to broaden out ever so slightly. Still, we're not getting a very good picture of what's going on because we are so close to that radar at Fort Polk. It still hasn't really made it into portions of Wynn Parish just yet. We're still south of the Wynn Parish line. This is moving just south of Montgomery. This is where we're watching for that rotation, where those reds and greens are combining. Just north of Louisiana Highway 71. It will likely begin to cross into portions of Wynn Parish within the next couple of minutes. So be prepared, and I will go ahead and put a storm track on this rotation for you for portions of a Wynn Parish. This is a slow moving storm towards the north and the east at about 25 miles per hour at this time. So we're going to be talking about places like New Hope Church around 5:19 p.m., Veranda about 5:22, Veranda Elementary School 5:22 p.m. as well. And then we're going to Catahoula National Wildlife Refuge at 5:32, and then Pacton around 5:35 p.m. So be prepared. Those are the next people in line for the storm. Also, as well as the community of Atlanta, you're right on that Wynn Parish border, and this rotation is likely moving a little bit closer to your area. So be prepared and be in your storm shelter, away from windows, lowest level of your home interior space. Marcus, what do you have to add to that?
All right. Well, as we talk more about this warning, I want to take another look at it, but we'll start out with the broader view across our viewing area. Again, you'll notice if you're in South Arkansas, things are still fairly quiet for you. And areas north of Interstate 20 are still fairly quiet as well. It's really just south of Interstate 20 where we have a little more of this storm activity. And again, right now we have this one tornado warning in place. So as we take a closer look at this warning, and again, Abby mentioned some areas to keep in mind. We are talking about this storm continuing to push east. This storm itself is moving slowly to the northeast at about 25 to 30 miles per hour. And so that means potentially places like Atlanta could be impacted by the worst part of this storm as we head through the next 5 to 10 minutes. So while you're not under the warning just yet, I would say just imagine you are under that warning and get to the most interior part of your home. Get away from any windows, and make sure you do not go outside and try to look or take pictures. Again, we want you to stay inside, protected as much as possible from any dangerous wind, any dangerous hail, or any other hazard that may be out there. The storm itself, the center of it is still just south of the Wind Parish border, but it is pushing more and more into Wind Parish. And so we do want you to know that this storm is continuing to push to the east. Now, as we take a closer look and talk about, again, how long this warning will be with us, we're talking about at least through 5:45 p.m. So we have another more or less 25 minutes or so with this warning. So we want you to hold on for another 25 minutes, again, because we have this dangerous storm pushing through. Now, velocity hasn't been as impressive for us to see what's happening within the storm. But again, this storm has already had a history of showing rotation, still showing some signs of rotation. So we want you to take this storm very seriously. So again, if you are in places like Atlanta, southern Wind Parish, I know it gets a little more rural across these areas. We want you to take this storm very seriously. And also, if you are in Winfield, you'll notice if you happen to be, let's say if you happen to be west of Winfield, you're starting to get in on rain showers and thunderstorms. Now, we will continue to watch that to see what happens and what that could mean for us over the next couple of hours. But when we're tracking where we're potentially seeing some type of rotation, it's not as well defined, but it is located just south of that Wind Parish border right now in Grant Parish. I want to point out again some other storms we've been tracking. These are not tornadic warned. They haven't had at least let us know whether or not they've rotated. But again, they're out there. So if you are in places like Sicily Island or southern portions of Tensall Parish, you're hearing heavy rain. You're likely hearing thunder, seeing lightning. That's from stormy weather that's moving through now. As of now, though, it has not been tornadically warned, or it hasn't been warned for tornado. It's really this tornado warning that covers southern Wind Parish that we're most concerned with. And again, if you are in Grant Parish, if you have any family or friends in Grant Parish, I'm sure they get our signal as well. Our sister station, KALB, I'm sure they're covering this as well. Again, take this storm very seriously and know that it is a threat. This is not the time to go outside or try to drive around and see, try to look out your window. This is your time to really protect yourself and stay as safe as possible. And I know the time now is 5:22, so a lot of people may be just getting off of work or getting done with other activities. If you have any family or friends that would be commuting at this time, you can give them a call and let them know to stay where they are, find shelter until this dangerous storm passes by. But again, we're tracking this tornado warning that stays with us at least for another 20 or so minutes. And again, we want you to take it very seriously. I do want to point out a few more things just to give you a broader perspective about what we're expecting this evening. So I'll advance a few more graphics pointing out velocity. Not as impressive. We typically like to see, or we typically watch for tight reds and greens that are close together. That lets us know that we have some type of rotation taking place. So we'll be watching for that. I am keeping an eye, though, on this area just north and west of the warning. We'll have to see if that is warned as well. We'll keep an eye on that. But more than anything, we are continuing to track this wet weather and at least this one dangerous storm pushing into southern Wind Parish. So here's a look at the SPC outlook. This is our gauge for how potentially active the weather will be. We're dealing with a slight risk. That typically means isolated to scattered severe storms. And you'll notice we're dealing with a marginal risk across South Arkansas. So things may be a little quieter north of that Louisiana-Arkansas border. But the farther south you go, the more active the weather will be. Now, as we look at the futurecast, it shows more wet weather pushing through. This model indicating more activity north of Interstate 20 by the time we get to 9 p.m. We have to watch and see how that plays out. But either way, we're tracking this wet weather moving through. By 2 a.m., by 3 a.m., we should be dealing with the last bits of wet weather. And then by 8 a.m. tomorrow, we can all relax. We can all go about our weekend knowing that the weather should be fairly quiet for us. Now, as we talk about this severe weather, again, threats include damaging wind, hail, and even isolated tornadoes. We're dealing with that one tornado warning now. And as we talk about your severe weather plan, definitely know your safe place, especially if you are in this tornado warned storm now. This is your time to get to that place, to stay there until the threat is over, and have multiple ways to get alerts. You can watch us on TV. You can go to our website, KNOE.com. You can use your NOAA weather radio. All of those things can help you stay safe when threatening weather impacts your region. Now, as we look at our GFS model, again, it shows wet weather clearing out, and that's a good thing. And as we look at rain, we definitely need the rain. Parts of our region could still pick up anywhere from a ½ inch to nearly an inch more of rain. So that was just a quick overview of what we've been dealing with. I want to send it to my colleague, meteorologist Ezell, for a little bit more.
Hi, Marcus. Yeah, that's right. I'm still looking at this tornado warning, tracking out that rotation, still very broad at this point, but it's just about on the wind parish line. So places like Emden, Wheeling, and even Cruz, be prepared that this strong storm is about to impact your area, and this rotation will likely be across a wind parish within the next 5 to 10 minutes. Like I mentioned before, Emden, Wheeling, Cruz, just places to name off right now that will likely be impacted by this rotation as it continues to track off towards the north and the east at 25 miles per hour this evening. It's just about on that wind parish line, moving a little bit closer to Louisiana Highway 122 at this time, just right on that border between Natchitoches and Wind parishes. I do want to go ahead and take you back and show you what's going on for the rest of the ArcLavis. We're starting to see some of those scattered showers and thunderstorms really begin to pop up right now across portions of northern Wind Parish as well as Jackson, into Lincoln, and even into portions of Ouachita Parish. And we are still tracking out some of those stronger thunderstorms now beginning to move into portions of Tensas Parish, as well as they are beginning to cross over the Mississippi River and move a little bit closer to portions of Mississippi and into the Vicksburg community. We are also seeing some areas of rain now developing across portions of Ashley County in South Arkansas that will likely continue to track off towards the north and the east. And then there is a second line of storms that will likely move in later tonight and will likely be a little bit weaker, but that is beginning to develop right along the Interstate 20 corridor in eastern portions of Texas that will continue to track off towards the north and the east. Like I mentioned before, it will likely be a little bit weaker than what we're experiencing now as we head into the overnight hours. Marcus, do you have anything to add to this tornado warning that we're continuing to monitor?
Well, I just want to talk more about the path of this storm, which direction it's headed, and what places downstream may be impacted. Just to reiterate, we do have this tornado warning. It is scheduled to last at least through 5:45 p.m. and it's for a thunderstorm that is rotating. So we have not had a confirmed tornado on the ground just yet, but it is a storm that has the potential to produce an active tornado. So we are continuing to follow it. Now, when we look at this warning, it covers just southwestern portions of Wind Parish. If you're in places like Winfield, you're not technically in that warning just yet, but if this storm holds together, it's moving to the northeast at about 30 miles per hour. It'll likely start to impact you as we head throughout the next 10 to 15 minutes. So we will continue to track this. We're also noticing still some signs of rotation even on the backside of this thunderstorm that's moving through. So we will continue to monitor this storm as it moves across our region. So we want you to take it seriously and understand this is the reason why we have been doing this coverage instead of your normal newscast. Now, as we take a closer look, just to reiterate, this warning stays with us at least through 5:45 p.m. and it covers places like Grant Parish, Natchitoches, and Wind Parish. The storm itself, though, is mostly in Grant Parish, now pushing into southern Wind Parish. But you'll notice we're starting to see some rain and thunderstorms get closer and closer to Winfield. If you are in Winfield, again, expect stormy weather to start to impact you as we head throughout the next few minutes. We also just got an update on the size of that polygon. They have decreased the size of it. And they did not expand it farther to the north and east. So that may be a sign that the storm itself is weakening. But either way, it is something we will continue to monitor. And as we look at this storm, we are talking about more active weather pushing in. Now, I do want to talk about some of the velocities that we are potentially seeing. Part of the velocity, at least part of the spin that we were noticing with this storm, was pushing into southern Wind Parish. That spin is not as impressive, but we are noticing some stronger winds potentially on the southern side of the storm system itself. That may be a sign that we're getting some additional rotation in that area. And as we take a look and see where we have some of the fastest wind, we're noticing that again potentially across portions of Grant Parish, well south and east of Natchitoches, and also some stronger winds, 20 to 40 mile per hour winds pushing into southern Wind Parish. When we look at the gate-to-gate shear from this area right here, we see that as 32 miles per hour. Now, you may be wondering, what is gate-to-gate shear? Well, if you notice, these are pixels, more or less, that help us measure what the speed is in that location. Anytime you have a pixel next to another pixel that has a different speed, even a different direction, that gives us our gate-to-gate shear. And when we have gate-to-gate shear of about 32 miles per hour, that is not as impressive as you would see with the stronger storm, potentially with gate-to-gate shear upwards of 60, 70, 80 miles per hour. When it gets up there, that's when we know something is definitely spinning and potentially at the lower levels in the atmosphere. But because we're dealing with gate-to-gate shear from this area right here of about 32 miles per hour, is not as impressive. We are noticing, again, some contrasting colors pushing into southern wind parish. So we're looking at two areas that are potentially rotating with that storm. Now, as we talk more about the alerts that are out there, again, we're tracking wet weather impacting other areas as well. And I believe my colleague, Abby Ezell, has more.
Yeah, they're going to continue this warning through the time about 5:45, right?
Yeah.
And then they may extend it. It's not really showing strong rotation on the Fort Polk radar, but the environment is very likely for rotation.
Okay, so there you have it. So from the National Weather Service, they say the environment is favorable for this tornadic weather and this storm to potentially continue. So we will continue to track the storm. Right now, they still have the warning going through at least 5:45, but expect it to be extended, and also extended not only in direction, but also as we head in time. So if you are in places like Atlanta, Winfield, Sykes even, we want you to be on guard and expect a tornado warning to potentially be extended right across your region. And so we want you to, again, get to your safe area now. If you want to still hear or even see what's going on, what we're talking about, you can stream us on your phone. You could, for instance, turn up your TV really loud if you're watching us on television, and then go to your safe area so that way you can listen. But we are talking about a dangerous storm that's continuing, and that will likely be extended across, this warning will be extended across more of wind parish. So this is what we've been telling you about over the last couple of days, trying to give you that first alert, that heads up that we're tracking the threat for active weather this evening. Fortunately, this morning, things stayed fairly quiet, but now we're dealing with, again, this tornado warning, and we want you to be ready for it, to be in your safe place and to be as safe as possible. And just to reiterate, we do not have a confirmed tornado, but we have an environment that is set up to allow these thunderstorms to start spinning. And anytime you have a spinning thunderstorm, that's when a tornado could potentially form and reach the surface. So this is what we're dealing with. Atlanta, Winfield, Sykes, pretty much all of Wind Parish. I want you to be on guard for the next hour or so. Again, this warning right now stays active at least through 5:45, but we are talking about, again, more of this warning potentially being extended farther to the north and east. And so we want you to be ready for it. When we take a wider view and show you what's happening across the region, this is really the only action right now. Based on earlier discussions, things seem to be potentially a little more tamer than what was originally thought. Still, there were some questions throughout the week as to what we would experience. But as we talk about what's happening now, we really just have this one tornado warning that is covering part of our viewing area, southern Wind Parish. And again, it is likely to be extended farther to the north and east. If you are in places like Ruston, you're dealing with rain right now and cloud cover right now. But fortunately, you're not dealing with any warned storms. But we'll continue to track this active weather, this wet weather pushing to the north and east, and we'll have to see what ultimately happens with that. But as we take a closer look at this warning, right now it's showing places like Atlanta potentially being impacted by this dangerous storm as we head toward 5:50 or so. Winfield, again, this storm is moving to the northeast at about 25, 30 miles per hour. We're looking at Winfield being impacted potentially after 6 p.m. So this may be a busy evening for us. If you had any plans to be out and about across the Arklamas, I would say maybe keep those plans inside, at least for this evening, and just enjoy the fact that things will be quieter for the weekend. But I do want to send it over to meteorologist Abby Ezell for a little bit more on what she's seeing.
Hi, Marcus. I've been watching this rotation over the past couple of minutes, and it looks like this rotation has officially crossed into portions of Wind Parish right now, moving closer to Louisiana Highway 471 near Elmer Jones Road and New Mars Hill Road, closer to the town of Emden. This rotation will likely be on top of you within the next couple of minutes. So I want you to be in your safe place, away from windows, lowest level interior space of your home as you prepare to go through this strong storm that continues to track off towards the north and the east at 25 miles per hour. Like I mentioned before, there are no plans to extend it necessarily right now, but this environment is favorable for rotation. So we are going to continue to watch the storm as it tracks off towards the north and the east at 25 miles per hour. So I am going to go ahead and put a track on that and show you the next places in line for this storm. Once again, it's moving off towards the north and the east at 25 miles per hour. 5:43 North Macedonia Church, Moore at 5:47 p.m., Corinth Church at 5:49, and then Curry at 5:55 p.m. Be prepared, even if this rotation doesn't last. This is still a very strong thunderstorm that continues to track off towards the north and the east. We just got the latest update on our scan right here, and I am going to show you that. It's showing that this rotation is beginning to tighten just a little bit right now across the portion of Emden, just east of Emden near Elmer Jones Road. That's where we're watching that rotation beginning to tighten up a little bit. It will likely cross portions of Harrisburg Road in the next couple of minutes. Next in line, likely going to be Atlanta. Is going to move just towards your south and your east. This storm is likely going to exit this warning box within the next couple of minutes. So we may see this rotation continue, and this is something we are going to continue to keep an eye on. But I do want to turn things to a wider view for you and show you what else we've got going on across the ArcLimis, as we are continuing to see showers and thunderstorms beginning to expand right now across the region. Right now we are tracking out scattered showers and thunderstorms now beginning to move through portions of Lincoln as well as Union parishes into Jackson Parish, as well as we are still tracking out this cluster of thunderstorms in Tensas Parish now beginning to cross across the Mississippi River. And then our second line of storms now just off towards our north and our west that will likely continue to work its way south and east as we head throughout the rest of the night, and that will likely impact us during the overnight, and that could bring in a heavy rain threat, not necessarily a strong storm threat as we head into later on tonight. Now, Marcus, what are you seeing? I know you've been watching this storm over the past couple of minutes.
Yes, I'm seeing the same things you're seeing. I'm also seeing some additional signs of rotation even still south of the Wind Parish line. So we'll continue to monitor this storm as it pushes farther to the north and east. But here's a wider view. Again, the most dangerous storm that we're dealing with right now is impacting southern portions of Wind Parish and slowly moving out of Grant Parish. Grant Parish technically not in our viewing area, but Wind Parish is. So this is what we will continue to follow. I do want to talk about areas downstream that will likely be impacted by this storm as it stays together. Abby mentioned Emden. Also, we do want to point out that Atlanta over the next 10 to 20 minutes will likely be impacted. Some of you are already starting to experience rain and gusty wind from that storm pushing to the north and east. But also, as we look toward Winfield, if this storm holds together, it's moving fairly slowly, but if it holds together, we're talking about you being impacted as we head through the next 20 to 30 minutes. So this is a dangerous storm. I also want to point out some of the moisture and some of the other thunderstorm activity that's impacting Wind Parish. We have heavier rain showers and thunderstorms now pushing toward Dodson, impacting northwestern portions of Wind Parish. And then we're also looking at some heavier rain and this tornado-warned storm pushing across southern portions of Wind Parish. This area even showing a little bit of a sign of rotation that's south of Wind Parish. So again, we want you to keep your guard up if you're really anywhere in Wind Parish at this hour. We're also noticing additional rain developing across southern portions of Caldwell Parish. Now, as we talk about this warning, how long it'll stay with us, again, 5:45 is the time that is forecast to stay with us. But it will likely be extended according to the National Weather Service. And you can feel it yourself. We have a lot of warm air, humid air in place, and we also have favorable winds in place that are supporting the threat for tornadic weather. So this is something we'll continue to follow. As we look at what we're tracking in terms of where we may have some spin, we're noticing that across southern portions of Wind Parish, now pushing into Wind Parish. So again, if you are in Atlanta, we want you to take this very seriously and know that a dangerous storm is pushing through. I want to send it back to meteorologist Ezell to talk a little bit more about some of the rotation that we're seeing.
Yeah, I've been watching this rotation. It's just almost outside of this warning box right there where those reds and greens are coming together. It's kind of messy just south of Atlanta. So likely Atlanta, you're picking up on some heavier downpours and some gusty winds, as this is something we are going to continue to monitor. We've got about 5 more minutes in total with this warning, as it is likely going to continue until 5:45 p.m. We'll have to see if the National Weather Service in Shreveport extends that, but as of now, that is the current end time, 5:45 p.m. for this tornado warning. Again, this is not a confirmed tornado, rather a radar indicated storm that is continuing to track off towards the north and the east at 25 miles per hour at this time. And Marcus was beginning to notice some of that additional rotation just towards the south, and I am beginning to see that as well. So that is something we are going to continue to keep an eye on, as we may have more storms later on tonight that could turn strong to severe. I know that the National Weather Service and as well as the Storm Prediction Center were keeping an eye on mainly this area just south of the I-20 corridor right here along Wynn, LaSalle, Catahoula, and Concordia parishes. That's where some of those stronger storms could begin to fire up later on tonight. So that is something we are going to continue to monitor, especially after the National Weather Service said that some of these storms further back towards our west, closer to the Fort Polk area, could likely show some signs of rotation later on tonight. So that is something we are going to continue to monitor, and we'll provide updates as we know more. Marcus, what are you seeing with this current storm that we have?
Well, again, we're tracking this dangerous storm. It's slowly pushing into southern Wind Parish, and we want you to keep your guard up to being your safe place if you are in this location. Now, as we zoom in a little bit more, we see that they have extended a severe thunderstorm warning now into portions of central Wind Parish. So if you are in Atlanta and Winfield, you're under that severe thunderstorm warning. So that may be a sign that they may ultimately allow this tornado warning to expire and just stick with the severe thunderstorm warning that'll likely say tornado possible.
Tornado possible.
Exactly, tornado possible. So again, the threat still will be there, but it may be a little bit lower given that they may ultimately let that tornado warning expire. But either way, we are sitting at the time of 5:42 p.m. This current warning is forecast to, or it will stay with us at least through 5:45 p.m. Again, that's the warning time. And so we'll have to watch and see what happens after that. But I suspect, and based on what I'm seeing now, based on what my colleague just mentioned, Abby, that we are likely going to see a severe thunderstorm warning take over for that tornado warning. But there still will be a possibility of a tornado. So we don't want you to let your guard down. But if this tornado warning, what is highlighted in red, is allowed to expire, what we'll do, we'll check with our control room to see what they want to do. Otherwise, we'll send you back potentially to our programming. You will be watching the CBS Evening News right now. And those of you watching on KAQY, you will watch the KAQY News now. But right now, we're still dealing with this warning, so we are still with you. So just to reiterate, this red box, that is a tornado warning. You'll notice, though, that it looks like the worst part of the storm is now pushing out of that tornado warning. So again, that may be a sign that they will allow that warning to expire. But either way, we're tracking this dangerous storm, and so we want you to keep your guard up. If you are in Atlanta, you're under the gun right now. If you're in Winfield, you're under that severe thunderstorm warning, with more wet weather shortly arriving for you. Again, this is a dangerous storm. We've been tracking it. Fortunately, we have not had a confirmed tornado, but we have a storm that has been radar indicated to have some type of tornadic activity. And again, we've been telling you about this threat throughout the week. And so we are happy that at least you all have been aware of the weather and you know what to do when weather threatens. I know a lot of us here in the Archimedes, we're used to tornado warnings or severe weather, even hurricanes, but it's always good to just stay on top of the weather and know that dangerous weather can mean major impacts for you. Now, as we look at what's happening, and it looks like we have the update now, they have allowed that tornado warning to expire. So I wouldn't mind if someone in my control room could let me know if we're ready to go to KQY or if they want us to stay on. But Okay, perfect. All right, so just to reiterate, the tornado warning we've been following for the last 45 minutes, that's been allowed to expire. Now we're dealing with a severe thunderstorm warning, but it has a tornado possible tag with it. That typically means the storm still could potentially produce a tornado. But because that warning has expired, we're going to send you to commercial break. And when we come back, those of you watching on CBS should join in with the CBS Evening News. And those of you watching on ABC will see our KQI newscast. Thanks again for your patience. Thanks again for hanging with us as we talk about this dangerous weather. And we'll be back on not only for the 6 o'clock news, but also if we get any additional tornado warnings. All right, thanks again.